Geldof headed for the BBC box up in the gantries, just as Queen were getting ready to go on stage.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo, Galileo, Galileo Figaro. Magnifico! I'm just a...
The flamboyant rockers had been massive in the 70s, but many now thought they were past it.
For Live Aid, we were bored, I think. We were quite... We'd had a long, fairly long career by then. And I think we were in a bit of a trough.
Queen had played at Sun City in South Africa during the apartheid era.
I think that anybody that has played there, I don't want to... Actually, I won't mention names. Rod Stewart and Queen and people like that have played there. They're jerks for doing it, and they were more than aware of what they were doing, and I think that they should be called out for it.
And for them, subsequently to appear at Live Aid as the benefactors of Africa, struck some people as being hypocritical.
It's interesting that they were the most nervous backstage. They were the most, they'd been arguing, they'd fallen out. They thought Queen didn't matter anymore.
Anyway, it gives us enormous pleasure to introduce the next combo, who are... Her Majesty, Queen!
I do remember, I think we were quite tense before we went on. Just hoping it was all going to work, you know, that the equipment wouldn't break down.
So would Freddie and the boys pull it off?
And what you're like, my only friend, through teenage life. Everything I had to know, I heard it on my radio.
Queen stole the show. Queen were Live Aid.
Queen was one of the seminal moments in the history of the 20th century. Forget Hitler, forget the invention of the internet or whatever. Queen's performance was absolutely A1.
So don't become some background noise, a backdrop for the girls and boys.
It's Queen's Day, I think. Yeah. They just stole the show.
Best thing there. Fantastic. Gobshites.
When you're not there.
On his way to berate the BBC, Geldof stopped in his tracks.
When I was walking along the top, and I looked out, and they started, and I saw the Radio Gaga. Just thought, this is extraordinary.
Radio Goo-Goo, Radio Gaga, all we hear is Radio Gaga.
This was pop history in the making.
Radio Gaga, all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Gaga.
Every single person in that whole place was clapping along to Radio Gaga and singing along. I thought, fantastic. I wish we had a song like that.
Freddie's command of the crowd even stretched across the Atlantic.
But looking out onto the audience, 90,000 Philadelphians, you know, on cue with a television screen, I just thought that was powerful, really powerful. And yeah, that brought us together. That was the one moment I thought, we don't have to be in London, we're here and we're part of it.
Freddie Mercury was only just getting started.
I can't tell you what it feels like to be on a stage like that, in that situation where you have no control. And, you know, there is an infinite space underneath your feet. If you fall, you know, it would be appalling if you really screw up, you know. And Freddie just thinks, oh, what the hell, you know, hey-oh.
response. Freddie would call, they would respond. And they loved it. They wanted to do it. A fascinating kind of power.
I do remember coming away from that concert thinking I must go and buy a Queen album immediately, like the rest of the world. And I think Queen got a huge resurgence of interest.
Just as Queen were finishing their set, Geldof stormed into the BBC box, still fuming about the failure to raise enough money.
So I was wound up by how great this was, having seen these guys, been magnificent. And suddenly I'm there and it's cozy, you know, celeb, DJ, pop-tastic stuff.
I've been joined, as you can see, by Pamela Stevenson, Billy Connolly, Ian Astbury from the Cult, and once again Bob Geldof.
It's all a bit telethonish. And that wasn't what this is, you know. I mean, the thing, calling it charity did and drove me nuts. For me, this was finely tuned politics.
You know, you've got to get on the...
In London, another diva, emboldened by his stage performance, was honing his seduction skills.
I want to break free.
So when Freddie Mercury comes up to me and goes, hello, we've all agreed that we like you. And I went, oh. And he had me up against a wall, and Freddie was being really playful with me. And I walked off and I went, he's really very camp, isn't he? Somebody said, Queen.
God knows I want to break free.
He got me in an arm lock, like this, you see. He said, it's all right, darling, I'm not going to hug you. And so I thought, wow.
Is he Welsh then?
He was Welsh when I was with him. And I thought, well, if he wanted to, he could have done. And there was a little learning curve there, because I thought, up until now, I thought that gay men were kind of feeble. Freddie wasn't. If Freddie wanted you, he was going to have you.
So Freddie's got my hand still after talking for 2 minutes and he's not letting go, which the co-guys thought was just hysterical. They're snorting away in the corner. And then he completely blew it for me by saying, but you're that lovely boy in the Boomtown Rats, aren't you? I said, no, I'm the lovely boy from Ultravox.
The stars trooped on stage for the sing-along that everybody had been waiting for.
It's been a very great day for everybody. I think you know the next song. It might be a bit of a cock-up, but if you're going to cock it up, you may as well do it with 2 billion people watching you. So let's cock it up together. Goodbye, Philadelphia. Goodbye, America. We hope you have a good rest of the day. David's going to start this. Ready, guys? It's no time to be afraid.
It must have been so fantastic. I wished I'd been there.
Yeah, man.
Because I've seen the footage back. I'm swaying away at the back there, lovely. Singing away like a pub singer, pint in one hand, lovely. Yeah, no.
It wasn't it?
I was kind of walking backwards into the crowd to sink into the, you know, I wasn't going to go up there start fighting for mics. And Bob grabbed me by the arm and pulled me forward and stuck a mic in my face. So I did eventually sing a line on the song.
George Michael grabbed a mic and said, "Sing." Thanks.
And if my ego's a bit bruised later, it soon died away. It wasn't a problem, you know, it didn't matter. It wasn't about that at all. It was about pulling it off. And we pulled it off.
We're back to Philadelphia now. Thank you very much for coming. Please leave the stadium slowly and quietly. It's been the most fantastic day. Thank you, thank you. Over to you, Philadelphia.
Look, your tits are showing.
Oh, shush, Bob. Did you like that? What was it like?
It's brilliant. God, the end was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And conducting that band. Great. God, ask me a question.
I'm proud.
Brilliant. Staggering. Ho hum. Oh, let's go home.
Just a perfect day. Drink sangria in the park. And then later, when it gets dark, we go home.
In 12 frenzied weeks, and against all the odds, Bob Geldof had pulled off the impossible.
Donations and tributes to the concerts that captured the conscience of the world have gone on pouring in today.
The young people of Britain and America, moved by the plight of thousands of others,
around the world,
thousands of
but they're now talking about an estimated total of £40 million.
Oh, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. Oh, such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on.
The donations were far bigger than anyone could have hoped. More than £50 million for the starving of Africa. And it was a day that no one who lived through it would ever forget.